In the 1960s, trucks weren't built to be replaced. They were built to be used until they couldn't be used anymore. No electronics, no comfort features, just steel frames, massive engines, and parts designed to survive abuse day after day. Some of those trucks should have disappeared decades ago, but they didn't. They kept hauling, kept working, and flat out refused to break. Today, we're counting down the 10 trucks from the 1960s that refused to break, the machines that prove durability doesn't age. Watch closely, because this is toughness in its purest form. Number 10. International Harvester Loadstar. The International Harvester Loadstar was never meant to be glamorous, fast, or comfortable. It was designed with one core mission: to work every day without excuses. Introduced in the early 1960s, the Loadstar quickly became a backbone of American industry, agriculture, municipal fleets, and even military operations. Its reputation wasn't built in advertisements. It was built in fields, construction sites, and rough back roads where failure simply wasn't acceptable. International Harvester came from an agricultural background, and that mindset heavily influenced the Loadstar's design. The truck used thick-gauge steel frames and conservative load ratings that allowed it to survive constant overuse. Engines were slow-revving, torque-focused, and built with heavy internal components that could tolerate heat, vibration, and poor maintenance. These power plants weren't sensitive machines, they were work tools. What made the Loadstar especially durable was its adaptability. The same basic truck could serve as a grain hauler one day, a dump truck the next, and a fire engine or school bus after that. That wide range of roles meant it had to withstand wildly different stress patterns, from stop-and-go city duty to long rural hauls. Many trucks would crack frames or destroy drivetrains under such varied use, but the Loadstar absorbed it. The cab design reflected the same philosophy. Interiors were Spartan, built from steel and basic materials that resisted wear. There were no delicate plastics, no electronics, and no unnecessary features. Controls were mechanical and robust, designed to be repaired with hand tools rather than replaced. Decades later, many Loadstars are still running, not because they were preserved, but because they were never worn out. That kind of longevity doesn't happen by accident. It happens when a truck is built to refuse failure. Number 9. Fiat 682. The Fiat 682 became legendary across Europe and export markets for one reason: it simply would not stop working. Built during a time when long-distance hauling meant extreme heat, poor roads, and inconsistent fuel quality, the 682 was engineered with endurance as its highest priority. Fiat knew these trucks would operate far from service centers, often overloaded and under-maintained, and designed them accordingly. At the heart of the 682 was an under-stressed diesel engine that prioritized torque and longevity over horsepower. Power output was deliberately modest, allowing internal components to operate far below their failure thresholds. This resulted in engines that ran cooler, suffered less wear, and survived for decades. Many Fiat 682 engines accumulated millions of kilometers with only basic overhauls. The drivetrain was equally conservative. Gearboxes were heavy, slow-shifting, and extremely durable. Axles and differentials were oversized, designed to handle loads far beyond official ratings. In many regions, legal weight limits were treated as suggestions, and the 682 survived this abuse without frame cracking or drivetrain failure. Structurally, the Fiat 682 featured a strong ladder frame built to resist torsional stress from rough roads and uneven loads. Suspension components were stiff and durable, sacrificing comfort to ensure stability and longevity. This made the truck particularly suited to mountainous terrain and undeveloped road networks. The cab was basic but resilient. Thick steel construction and minimal interior complexity meant that age had little effect on usability. Corrosion resistance was excellent for the era, and many cabs survived decades of exposure. The Fiat 682 didn't rely on precision or refinement. It relied on mechanical forgiveness. That trait is why it became one of the most trusted long-haul trucks of the 1960s. Number 8. Scania L56. The Scania L56 played a crucial role in establishing Scania's global reputation for durability. Built in Sweden during the 1960s, this truck was designed to operate in some of the harshest conditions in Europe: long winters, poor roads, heavy loads, and constant use. Scania engineers approached the L56 with a simple belief: a truck should be able to run all day, every day, without complaint. The diesel engine was the foundation of the L56's reliability. Designed for low RPM operation, it delivered strong torque while minimizing internal stress. Oversized cooling systems ensured stable operating temperatures even under heavy load, and lubrication systems were engineered to protect components during long service intervals. These engines were famous for their ability to run for enormous distances with consistent performance. The drivetrain matched the engine's durability. Transmissions were heavy and deliberately slow, prioritizing strength over smoothness. Axles were reinforced to handle uneven terrain and icy conditions without damage. This made the L56 particularly popular in logging, construction, and long-haul operations across Scandinavia. Structurally, the L56 featured a rigid frame designed to resist fatigue from constant vibration and load shifts. Scania paid special attention to metal quality and welding integrity, details that paid dividends decades later, as many frames remained intact long after competitors failed. The cab emphasized safety and strength. Thick steel panels, excellent corrosion resistance, and a straightforward layout ensured long service life. Interiors wore slowly, and controls remained functional even after years of abuse. The L56 didn't just work, it endured, laying the foundation for Scania's legendary status. Number 7. Leyland Octopus. The Leyland Octopus was built for one of the hardest jobs in 1960s Britain, carrying massive loads over road networks that were never designed to handle them. Named after its multi-axle configuration, the Octopus was engineered specifically for extreme weight distribution and heavy-duty haulage in construction, quarrying, and infrastructure projects. Leyland equipped the Octopus with diesel engines designed for torque rather than speed. These engines were mechanically simple, durable, and forgiving. They could run long hours under heavy load without overheating or suffering internal damage, a critical requirement for construction work. The frame was massively reinforced, designed to handle constant torsional stress from uneven terrain and heavy payloads. Suspension components were stiff and durable, ensuring stability even when fully loaded. Comfort was sacrificed entirely in favor of structural survival. Gearboxes and axles were built with enormous safety margins. The Octopus could be overloaded repeatedly without catastrophic failure, which made it invaluable in industries where deadlines mattered more than regulations. The cab was functional and tough, with minimal trim and strong structural integrity. It resisted corrosion and fatigue better than many competitors, allowing the truck to remain in service for decades. The Leyland Octopus wasn't refined or elegant, but it did exactly what it was built to do: carry impossible loads and come back for more. Number 6. Magirus Deutz Saturn. The Magirus Deutz Saturn was one of the boldest engineering statements of the 1960s, and its toughness came from a decision most manufacturers were afraid to make: eliminate water cooling entirely. At a time when radiators, hoses, and overheating were among the most common causes of truck failure, Magirus Deutz chose air-cooled diesel engines, instantly removing an entire category of breakdowns. This decision made the Saturn almost unstoppable in extreme environments. Without coolant to freeze, boil, or leak, the truck could operate in deserts, mountains, and sub-zero climates with equal confidence. Fire departments, military units, and export operators quickly realized that fewer parts meant fewer failures. The engine was loud and distinctive, but it was brutally reliable. Internally, the air-cooled diesel was massively overbuilt. Thick castings, conservative power output, and low operating RPMs ensured long service life. These engines tolerated poor fuel quality and inconsistent maintenance, far better than most liquid-cooled competitors. Many Saturn engines ran continuously for years with only basic servicing. The chassis was just as rugged as the engine. Frame rails were thick and heavily reinforced, designed to survive twisting loads and constant vibration. Axles and driveline components were engineered for abuse, not efficiency. These trucks were expected to operate far from service centers, and Magirus Deutz built them accordingly. The cab reflected the same philosophy. minimal comfort, maximum durability. Heavy steel panels, simple mechanical controls, and excellent corrosion resistance ensured that age did little damage. Even decades later, many Saturn cabs remain structurally sound. The Magirus Deutz Saturn didn't just resist failure, it engineered failure out of the system. That's why it remains one of the toughest trucks of the 1960s. Number 5. Mack B Series. Few trucks from the 1960s earned respect as quickly or as permanently as the Mack B Series. Built like industrial machinery rather than a road vehicle, the B Series became a symbol of American toughness in construction, logging, and heavy haul operations. Mack's philosophy was simple: build everything in-house and build it stronger than necessary. Mack designed its own engines, transmissions, axles, and frames, ensuring perfect compatibility and unmatched durability. The diesel engines were slow-revving torque monsters with enormous internal strength. They weren't fast, but they could pull heavy loads all day without complaint. Overheating, oil consumption, and premature wear were rare. The frame was legendary. Thick steel rails resisted cracking even under extreme torsional stress, making the B Series ideal for off-road and job site work. Suspension components were heavy and stiff, sacrificing comfort to ensure stability and longevity. The cab was equally tough. Simple steel construction, minimal interior trim, and a layout focused on function meant these trucks aged gracefully. Many B Series trucks were rebuilt multiple times over their lives, not because they failed, but because owners knew the platform was worth preserving. Even today, restored and working B Series trucks can still be found hauling loads. That kind of longevity doesn't happen by chance. It happens when a truck is built to never quit. Number 4. Volvo Titan. The Volvo Titan was a turning point in European trucking, proving that durability could be engineered with discipline rather than brute force alone. Introduced in the 1960s, the Titan was designed for long-distance hauling across harsh Scandinavian terrain, where breakdowns in winter could be life-threatening. Volvo engineered the Titan with extremely conservative tolerances. Its diesel engines were understressed, delivering steady torque at low RPMs to minimize wear. Cooling and lubrication systems were oversized, ensuring stable operation even under continuous heavy load. The Titan's frame was designed to resist corrosion and fatigue, two of the biggest enemies of long-term durability. Volvo paid close attention to metal quality and structural design, which allowed these trucks to survive decades of vibration and environmental exposure. Suspension systems were firm but resilient, maintaining load stability while reducing long-term damage to the chassis. Braking systems were simple, powerful, and easy to maintain, critical for mountainous routes. The cab emphasized safety and strength. Thick steel construction and thoughtful design allowed it to age well, while interiors resisted wear better than many competitors. The Volvo Titan didn't just last. It set the standard for what long-haul reliability should look like. Number 3. Mercedes-Benz LP Series. The Mercedes-Benz LP Series brought German industrial discipline into civilian trucking during the 1960s. These trucks were designed with the same mindset used in military and industrial equipment. Build it once, build it right, and expect it to last decades. Mercedes-Benz engines in the LP Series were massively overbuilt, featuring thick blocks, conservative tuning, and exceptional lubrication. Power delivery was smooth and predictable, reducing stress on the drivetrain. These engines were known for surviving extreme mileage with minimal internal wear. The drivetrain was equally robust. Gearboxes were heavy and precise, designed to handle continuous load without failure. Axles were reinforced for durability rather than lightness, ensuring reliability on poor roads and construction sites. Structurally, the LP Series featured strong frames designed to resist twisting and fatigue. These trucks were widely used in export markets, military logistics, and infrastructure projects where durability mattered more than comfort. The cab was functional and solid, with excellent corrosion resistance and long-term structural integrity. Interiors were simple but durable, aging slowly over time. The LP Series earned its reputation quietly but permanently. It didn't chase trends. It focused on survival. and that's why so many are still remembered today. Number 2. Tatra T138. The Tatra T138 was not built to follow roads, it was built to ignore them entirely. Introduced in the late 1950s and dominating the 1960s, the T138 became one of the most reliable heavy trucks ever produced in Eastern Europe. Its reputation was forged in mines, forests, military zones, and undeveloped regions where conventional trucks simply couldn't survive. What made the T138 so different was Tatra's revolutionary backbone chassis design. Instead of a traditional ladder frame, the T138 used a central tubular spine that carried the drivetrain and absorbed torsional stress. This allowed the truck to flex over extreme terrain without cracking or bending, a common failure point in traditional frames. Even decades later, this design remains one of the most durable ever engineered. Power came from an air-cooled diesel engine, which eliminated one of the most common causes of failure in heavy trucks: cooling systems. No radiators, no coolant leaks, no freezing in winter or boiling in summer. This made the T138 exceptionally reliable in extreme climates. The engine itself was massively overbuilt, tuned for low RPM torque and long service life rather than speed. The drivetrain was equally impressive. Portal axles, locking differentials, and robust gearboxes allowed the T138 to haul heavy loads across mud, snow, sand, and rock. These trucks were often overloaded far beyond official limits, yet structural failures were rare. The cab was Spartan but incredibly strong. Thick steel panels, minimal trim, and purely mechanical controls meant very little could fail. Comfort was irrelevant. Survivability was everything. The Tatra T138 didn't just refuse to break, it redefined durability. Its engineering philosophy influenced heavy off-road truck design for generations, and many T138s are still operating today in the harshest environments on Earth. Number 1. Kenworth W900A. At number 1 stands a truck that became a legend not because of marketing, but because it outlived expectations by decades. The Kenworth W900A, introduced in the 1960s, represents the absolute peak of American heavy truck durability. It wasn't designed to last 10 years. It was designed to last a lifetime. The foundation of the W900A's toughness was its frame. Thick, high-quality steel rails provided exceptional resistance to fatigue and cracking, even under constant heavy loads. This allowed the truck to be rebuilt repeatedly rather than replaced, a philosophy almost unheard of today. Under the hood, the W900A could be fitted with some of the most durable diesel engines ever produced, including Cummins, Caterpillar, and Detroit diesel power plants. These engines were simple, mechanical, and massively overbuilt. They tolerated poor fuel, long service intervals, and brutal operating conditions while continuing to deliver reliable torque. Cooling systems were oversized, drivetrains were conservative, and every major component was designed with rebuilding in mind. When something finally wore out, it could be repaired, not discarded. That's why many W900As received multiple engine rebuilds over their lifetimes while keeping the original chassis. The cab design further cemented its legacy. Aluminum construction resisted corrosion, while structural integrity remained excellent even after decades of vibration and use. Interiors were basic but durable, and controls were purely mechanical, no electronics to fail. Perhaps the most telling sign of the W900A's toughness is this: many are still working today, hauling freight in modern traffic after more than half a century. Few machines of any kind can claim that. The Kenworth W900A didn't just refuse to break, it set the benchmark for what true truck durability looks like. Those trucks didn't become legends because they were flashy. They became legends because they wouldn't quit. Built in a time when strength mattered more than efficiency, they earned reputations that still stand today. Which 1960s truck do you think was truly indestructible? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. If you respect real trucks and real engineering, hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Until next time, keep it simple, keep it heavy, and keep the legends alive.